All right, one more time. Your favorite series of videos, the Uncrating in this case. Anyway, we just received, very excited, we just received the new Wilson Watt. You know, not just the Wilson Watt, the Wilson Watt. So these speakers were designed to celebrate the Watt's, I guess it's what, 50th anniversary. These just arrived. According to serial number, this is the 11th pair out of the factory. And I spec them in, what is it, color bianco. So basically white with clear hardware. So I'm quite excited to see what they look like. I've been waiting for these for quite a long time. The moment I heard about that they were going to re-release this, I was so excited because the Wilson Watts were my first truly crazy Cosmo Object speakers all those decades ago. It cost me every cent that I had, and I still have the fondest of memories. Anyway, I've taken out all the screws except for one because I wanted to share this moment with you. Yes, collectively you can all go, please. Anyway, let's see. All right, a moment of truth. Here we go. All right. Can you see, Mike? Okay. It's a really big crate for, I'm shocked. These are small speakers. I had no idea what to expect. I mean, I saw a bit of the specs in terms of the dimensions and so on, but it's I guess maybe it's just a crate. I'm expecting a lot bigger speakers, but I think it's just a crate because we have a pair of, I brought in one of the Sasha V's and I've put them right in the back there. So we're going to put them side by side to get an idea of how large the size is. And I think it's just a crate that's throwing me off. So we'll see. Boy. This is the Watt. So for those of you who don't know, David Wilson, and probably Cheryl as well, his wife, they loved acronyms. So the Watt stands for Wilson Audio Tiny Tot. And of course the puppy is the boy's best friend. So Wilson Audio Tiny Tot, you know. Anyway, so if you get it, you get it. This is the Watt. So right off the bat, size-wise, it's a little bit taller than the original Watt from what I can tell. But what's also interesting is that it has two pairs of binding posts. The original Watt had only one pair, so this is new. And I guess it gets its dry cables, I should say, from the puppy. So we're going to have a look at that very soon. As usual with Wilsons, they are incredibly well packed. So this way shipping is never going to be an issue unless you have a forklift that rams right into the crate. All right, finally. Okay, so a couple of things that's interesting. Over the years, Wilson has used all kinds of materials for their drivers. The early Wilsons were using inverted titaniums that were supplied by Focal, customized to Wilson specifications. And in terms of the tweeters, and about, I want to say about 15, 20 years ago, they migrated to this silk dome tweeter, which in various iterations, this is the latest version. To make it very simple, the drivers that are used in the Watt Puppy are the same as what you find in the Sasha V's. We'll put them side by side later and I'll show you. So anyway, that's a 1-inch silk dome. That's the 7-inch Quadramac El Nico magnet driver design. And then they've got the two 8-inch woofers inside. What's also interesting is that the Watt Puppy is the first speaker in the lineup to use the very latest crossover parts, in particular the capacitor. It's not only all copper, but the ends are copper foil with gold, if I'm not wrong. So that's also new. Anyway, and then the back. So the original Watts had a metal rod that was there so that David could carry the speakers around to different locations. This one has the same thing, except it has indents, if you will, so it makes it easier for you to grab. When David first designed the original Watt, it wasn't really a commercial product. He never meant it to be a commercial product. At the time, David was really fascinated, and his passion was with recordings. And he would record musicians in churches, in studios, and so on. And what he discovered was that after his recording sessions, when he brought home the tape and played it through his speakers, it didn't sound like what he heard in the environment. And so he designed the original Watt, which is basically this top, two-way design, to give him a sense of what the microphones were picking up. And so they were really originally designed as location monitors. And so because of that, he didn't care what it cost. It wasn't meant to be a commercial product. It was designed to be extremely good headphones, if you want to call them that. And then a bunch of his audiophile friends heard them, and reviewer friends heard them. You may or may not know that David Wilson also at the time was writing for the Absolute Sound. And so anyway, these friends told him, you need to make these available and sell them. And so he and Cheryl decided to finally make them. And I think in the earlier mid-1980s, they showed up at the Consumer Electronics Show, and they were the star of the show. People went crazy over these tiny little speakers. They got so many orders that's how Wilson Audio, in terms of its commercial success, was born. So anyway, that's the Watt. Now let's have a look at the Puppy. So again, one of the things I really like about Wilson speakers is that the larger speakers typically come with casters. So even in this case, for example, by myself, I can roll them around, take them out of the crate quite easily. As usual, it's always better if you have two people or three to help. But in this case, as you can see, it was pretty easy to do that. Anyway. Okay, so let me turn this around and show you. That's the front. Move this out of the way. Okay, and so that's your two 8-inch woofers. Again, identical to the Sasha V's. And now, the other thing that's also interesting is that over the years, the original Watts were designed using MDF, different grades of MDF, and over the different series. I think they made altogether 7 series. They bypass series 4. In certain Asian cultures, the number 4 is not a good number. So they bypass number 4, so you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And over those different variations, different enclosures were used, enclosure materials were used as the technology at Wilson continued to advance. Currently, the latest Watt Puppy uses the X material for the external panels as well as the internal bracing. And on the Watt, the front panel here is actually using the S material. Many years ago, Wilson Audio discovered that the S material, which is a material sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but they found that by using the S material for the mid-range driver, it allowed the mid-range to be much more expressive than using the X material or W material or V material and so on. And one of the things that Wilson always talks about is that there is no one perfect material. Different materials are very good for different applications, but there's no one perfect material for all applications, and thus they use different materials. In fact, we'll talk about this right now. So you'll notice that at the top here, it's covered by a layer of felt, but underneath the felt is actually the new Wilson V material. As a matter of fact, underneath this whole plate, the V material is Wilson's new material. When I went to visit Wilson about a year or so ago, I convinced Daryl Wilson to show what the V material does. Maybe Mike or Allison can link the video below. And what it is a material that when you impact it, it just sinks the sound. It sounds like a dull thud. It takes vibrations and it converts it into heat. And that's basically what we have underneath this plate here. So the watt will sit into this metal channel here, same as over here, and all the vibrations from the watt will basically be converted into heat, and simultaneously the vibrations from the puppy will not get back into the watt as well. So it acts like the intermediary of some sort that converts vibration to heat. So that's in here. So again, this V material wasn't something that was available just I want to say 5 years ago or even 4 years ago. Something that the company continues to do is they continually work on research and development to try and improve things. And then inset is a bubble level, so it makes things easier now to set up before you do your final adjustments and so on. You can look at the bubble level. And then on the back, okay, so you have over here very easy access to replacing the resistors. So a couple of things about the resistors. The resistors are there for a number of reasons. One is to help fine-tune the sound for the mid-range and tweeter. So in the past, if you were in a room environment where the sound was just a little bit too bright, you could call the factory and the factory could supply you with a different value resistors that could potentially tame the highs a little bit from the tweeter. The other thing is the resistors are there to protect the drivers. So in the event of extremely high volumes sustained, the resistors hopefully will be there to protect the speakers in the event of, just being a little bit too exuberant. And again, it's very, very easy to replace it. You just loosen these binding posts, loosen these two nuts, and just replace them. Very, very easy to do. The other thing also is that Wilson Audio does recommend periodically, once every couple of years or so, replace the resistors. And then this, very, very cool. This is their, I was right, 50th anniversary, 50 years medallion. And it depending on the color hardware you choose, it'll come in that color. So for example, I chose the silver hardware, so this is finished in silver. Now if I had chosen the black hardware, this would come in black. There is one more option which is quite rare. If you chose a red finish of some sort, a variation of a red tint in terms of your color of your finish, you could ask to get a red finished medallion. Those are going to be quite rare. So if you're interested, I didn't know about that. I just heard about that very recently and I thought, oh no, if I had known, I would have ordered these speakers in red. I would have loved to have the red medallion. And of course, finally, your binding post where your amplifier connects to. And that's it, very, very simple in terms of its setup. So I'm going to roll this now over there and put it side by side with the Sasha V's and show you what they look like. Okay, here we go. So you can see height-wise, it's about the same. Now the Sasha V is a bit taller, slopes up a little bit towards the back, and it's definitely deeper. It's not quite as deep with the Watt. And part of that is because the design team wanted to keep the Watt Puppy somewhat similar in its dimensions to the original Watt. Okay, so in terms of dimensions, you can see the Sasha V is taller, and with the Sasha V, the tweeter is raked forward. The mid-range is raked backwards, and then the tweeter is raked forwards, whereas this, of course, is just one angle. And then the woofer cabinet, the Puppy, looks like it's almost vertical. Maybe there's a slight angle, slight leaning back, but not dramatically, but certainly the angles between these two are quite a bit different. The Watt Puppy has one of the advantages, that same thing with the Watt, with the Sasha V, and that is the time alignment. So when you put the spikes underneath these speakers, you can get the proper time alignment for your listening height in your ears. But anyway, that's just to give you an idea of what it looks like. I'm going to cut the video now, put the spikes on, and then we'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's all done. All right. So turns out the accessories, the manuals, the spikes, and so on, they were all in the other crate. So I had to go uncrate the other speaker, and found all the missing parts. Okay, so like all the other Wilsons, the front spikes are these tiny little spikes. These tiny little spikes, and you put these underneath the watts in the front. Now, a little refinement that Wilson has done with the previous speakers, when you screw the spike into the speaker, it would just sit flush. In other words, this flange over here would just sit flush with the speaker. The new Wilsons, and again, it's just a tiny little thing, nobody would notice except for crazies like me. They've countersunk it, so the entire bolt, the entire spike, including the flange over here, the big part, goes all the way in. It's a tiny little thing. They didn't have to do it. It's extra work, but it's a nice refinement and it's a nice detail that they've done. So kudos to those of you at Wilson. If you watch this, good job. All right, so that's the front. Now in the back, Wilson is using, instead of the stair step that you see in the Sasha V, they're using this adjustable spike. And the spike is cut in such a way so there are different indentations or markings. So starting at the very, very bottom over here, it's marked number 1, and then 3 threads up, number 2, and then 3 threads up, number 3, and so on. And then based on your listening height, your ears, and ears to the ground, and how far you are from the speaker, there's a nomograph that tells you where you want to adjust the spikes to, or the bolt on the spike to. So in our case, let's say we were 10 feet away from the speaker, and my ears are 38 inches from the ground. Yes, I'm short. Screw you. According to the factory, it says 2. And so I would adjust the bolt, or the nut, I should say, until it just clears the marking that says 2. And then I would insert this into the back of the speaker, and then that will give you the appropriate tilt angle for time alignment. So very ingenious in many ways. Maybe not quite as easy to use as the Sasha V, because with the Sasha V I can change more easily on the fly. So if I were to readjust my system and so on, or my settings, I can just tilt the front of the Sasha and just adjust the spike onto whichever stair step. But of course it costs a lot more money to do that. With this, it gives me the same exact performance with a simpler execution. So this is new. I think they actually use something similar to this with the tune tot. So anyway, I will do all of that once we do our final setup and I know exactly how everything goes. But this is new, and good on you, Wilson. So that is, well, you know what? Let me put it on now, and I'll show you what it looks like with the spikes. And there we go. That's what it looks like when you've put the spikes on. And this is what the speaker's profile. So from the side, you will see that certainly the Sasha V is taller and deeper, but the overall shape is somewhat similar, or very, very similar. Mike will tell you, because he set up a lot of XVXs with me, there's this little nut here. You can loosen it, and then you can pull more wire out if you need to, and it helps with the connection of the with the spades to the binding post. And when you're done, you can just push it back in and then seal it, just like that. Very cool. All right, I keep looking for a piece of glass that covers this, and I just realized that there isn't one. So with the Sasha V and the larger speakers, this whole plate comes off. It's just pushed in, just like with metal binding posts or metal pins. And this part here is actually like an exhibition glass. In this case, it's completely bare. it's you see everything the way it is. And I kept looking. I wonder if I need to install the glass, but it doesn't come with glass. And so it's supposed to be like that, I suppose. It's nude. It's naked. Anyway, so this is the first of the uncrating of the What Puppies, as far as I know. We're going to start breaking them in. We already have quite a number of clients who want to come in and listen to them. As a matter of fact, a good client of the store and a friend has agreed to be my first guinea pig. He's going to join us in our video. So he's going to listen. He already owns a pair of Wilsons, and we're going to see what he thinks of the What Puppies, as in addition to what the rest of us think as well. So anyway, thanks for watching this tortuous, very long-winded uncrating. I can't tell you how excited I am because it brings back so many wonderful memories of the original What Puppies that I owned. And I look forward to telling you and sharing with you what my thoughts are. All right, thanks very much. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.